we've never rolled out a step-by-step plan on any topic we've ever talked about.
We're doing that today.
So we're going to see how many people enjoy 6 practical ways to show love to difficult people.
People are people, so why should it be? You and I should get along so awfully. People are people.
What band is this?
Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode?
Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode.
I'm going to be honest. Depeche Mode was a little bit before my time, my
Yeah,
friend.
it was kind of right there in the wheelhouse.
I do know a Depeche Mode song.
Do you? What is it?
It goes like do 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 do.
Oh yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, it's that's
What's the name of that song?
Do 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 do.
Oh, the Doo Doo song.
Yeah, it's
the Doo Doo by Depeche
Oh,
Mode
yeah.
song. Okay.
It wasn't a big hit, but
Well, is Depeche Mode really a big hit? Did I just make a bunch of enemies by saying that? I feel like there
I
are
don't
some.
know. I don't know. I think it's okay now to look
Okay.
back and say
Okay.
maybe not.
It's been like 70 years, right? So
Yeah, sure.
surely we're past that.
Yeah, there's been other bands that have come along.
Speaking of 70
Creed.
years,
Yeah.
No. Oh, Creed. It's Creed making an appearance every episode. You brought him in this time. I didn't even do it. Speaking of Creed in 70 years, perfect segue. How was your day today?
My day was just fine.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mainly doing some digital marketing work.
Floating in the pool?
No floating in the pool.
Mm.
No, not on
Real work.
Wednesdays.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's
yeah.
not Wednesdays.
No.
My bad.
But do you float in the pool on Wednesdays?
No, I'm not a big pool floater, to be honest. I think you're more of a big pool floater than
That sounds kind of gross.
than I am.
Yep.
We
Anyway.
can't say that seriously.
Yeah.
No, it's not my thing. No. Just working today. Lots of meetings, lots of prep for in the church world during the fall is quite the busy season for a lot of churches because a lot of families are back in town from the summer. They're
Mhm.
getting school underway. A lot of rhythms get back into place. So it's busy, but it's like a good kind of busy.
Okay. Well, as long as it's a good kind of busy.
Yeah.
Do you get excited around this time?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
A lot of work though.
High energy, a lot of work, but
Yeah.
like you go home like a good tired kind of a feeling.
Yeah.
So
Do you like a lot of people around?
I can do both. If you're asking me if I'm like extrovert or introverted.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
So I've heard someone coin the phrase. Is it an ambivert?
Ambivert.
Is that a real word?
Right in the middle. That's
Is it
a
a-
real word.
Okay.
It is.
I think I'm an ambivert,
Okay.
and here's why I think that is. I could be in a room with a lot of people and I can get some energy from that and like really love it. But the second I walk away, I am exhausted.
It's to the back cave.
Beyond exhausted, and
Yeah.
I want to go home and I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to see anyone. And like I need to like recharge.
Yeah.
So there's both aspects, I guess.
That's definitely ambivert behavior.
Right?
Did I say ambivert?
Yeah, you did say ambivert. So because
Ambivert.
introvert wouldn't find any energy from the
No,
people.
introvert wants nothing to do with what you're talking about.
So I can do both.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess ambivert. What about you?
I kind of feel like I'm ambivert as well. I think
Yeah.
I can adjust to, but
I
I
think
have
I've
to
seen-
adjust to the big crowd and the big events, and I might not want to volunteer for that type of environment, but
If you're in it,
I can do it.
Yeah, you can do it if you're in it.
But I want to get back to the back cave as soon as possible.
I mean, I'm not signing up to be around 1,000 people
Sure.
every 2 seconds.
Right.
But if I'm in there, it's kind of like, well, hey,
Yeah.
like we're here.
Because people are people.
Yeah.
So why should it be?
Oh dear. Is it going to be like this? Are you going
I'm just wondering, in the higher the amount of people,
Yeah.
the degree of difficulty tends to go up, that you're going to run into somebody who might be a little bit difficult to
Are you
deal
saying
with.
that people sometimes are difficult?
Yes. Do you
Wow.
agree with that?
That's judgmental of you.
Well, I know I can be difficult too. So
Oh,
therefore,
yeah. Right.
I am people.
Yeah, me too. Cool. Yeah, I think people can be difficult, including myself, probably leading the way in my experience, more so than not. But it's interesting you say difficult people. I think that might be what we're talking about today.
Let's talk about
What
it.
a weird coincidence. You can't
Yeah.
even make this stuff up, Christian. This is
Not at
wonderful
all.
stuff.
No.
Wonderful.
So let's talk about that Michael J.
Let's do it.
Wachowski.
Michael J. Fox Wachowski.
Mobley.
Wow.
Let's do that.
Hey.
What what does it look
Such
like?
a serious.
Well, I do have a very serious look,
Oh.
almost a scowl,
Yeah, you
because
did.
I'm thinking
I
about
was like, what'd I do?
situations where people have been difficult, and well, I don't know, we're going to own the fact that we can be difficult too. I think we've already done that, but we'll continue to do that. But
you can be.
What does that tend to look like? Like, what have you seen?
Ooh, this is going to be subjective, like as in what I would describe as difficult. So for me personally, I would say, yeah, so we probably don't have to keep prefacing it with saying we're difficult. Let's just get out there. We know we're both difficult. Okay, so everyone please hear, we're not saying we're perfect.
So we're done with that.
The reality, we're done with that now.
Okay.
The reality is we've all dealt with difficult people, so surely some people can relate to this. But it's good to talk about it. For me, let's see. When I'm around someone who is constantly negative, I'm not talking about going through a hard time, because that's fair. It's the person that you could say anything positive. Like you could be like, hey, you just won $50 million. They're like, oh, I have to go drive like up to the place.
Like
and
Sour Bill from
my gas. I think I have to go get gas on the way to get that $50 million check. And it's hot outside. And you're like, okay, bro, settle down. So maybe the constant negativity, pessimism.
Okay.
Pessimism.
Does that just drain you?
Pessimism.
Pessimistic?
Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah, sure. We'll go.
Okay.
A pessimistic person drains you.
Yeah, it does. I'll walk away kind of like, oh man, I was really trying. It was really challenging, really draining. So if they call me or text me, it's possible I'll have a little moment of like, oh,
not this person.
Which makes me think in my head that would be a difficult person for me.
Okay.
That's one example. What about for you?
Yeah, I would say somebody who complains a lot about other people.
Like I just did.
Can be. Yeah, I'm really looking at you. Your chair is seated up higher, looking down on me, but I'm looking up at you.
No one knows that. Chris is basically sitting on the floor while I tower over him as we record. That's why we don't have cameras up yet.
But I'm looking up at you, Mike.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
And I'm wanting you to know that. Yeah, no, actually,
you can see my double chin from down below.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Okay, wow.
People that really you just rag on themselves too. That's kind of a pet peeve. But yes. All right. But yeah, anybody who just kind of tends to blame other folks for their how they're feeling or their misfortune, and maybe doesn't take a look inside. That's another type, I would say. But
I mean, I guess the reality is we're going to be facing difficult people pretty much on any given day, like almost to the point you can expect. Surely there's going to be. We're in a sinful world. We just have lots of different personalities. It's a beautiful thing that makes up the church, right? The different personalities and giftings and wirings. But I guess it's on the sinful side, it comes with different personalities and skills where you just, I don't know, the odds are you might get rubbed the wrong way by someone on any given day, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we can expect, and not something that we, that we're going to be able to shelter ourselves or even other people away from. It's been this way since the Garden of Eden. Look how quickly it took Adam and Eve to have a falling out there, to start blaming each other. And even from there, Cain and Abel. Up on through to the stories about Jesus and the Pharisees, and the problems that they gave him. So fast forward all the way up till our time now, and we've seen conflict, and that's usually due to people who don't have any peace inside of them. They don't have it to where they know what to do, or even that it might be going on inside of them. So
that's a good perspective. Yeah, because it also made me think the person who maybe they're abusing their power or looking down on someone, the person who would set the chair legitimately higher than the other person's seat, like a power trip, I would have a difficult time. It would be hard for me. I guess what maybe defines a difficult person is like someone that's like hard to love or someone that's hard to serve. Like if can you see yourself actually serving that person or drawing near to them to spend time with them, to love them? And I guess those are the types of people that I would be like, oh, I don't want to go out of my way.
I don't think we want to. I think we want to avoid.
Yeah.
If given the chance, then maybe not even having to talk to that person, or if it's a work situation, having to email with them or chat with them. Sometimes we might look see that name in our you know, inbox or see that name light up in chat and say, "Oh no,
That was me. That was me earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, appreciate that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. I'm the only email you got today. So yeah, it's fun. It's cool. We'll talk about it later.
No, you have friends in low places down here sitting below you. So yeah, it's
well,
maybe one day I'll get into that chair that you're sitting in, buddy. But
so do you find yourself, because I mean, that's, to be honest, that's what I do. Yeah. I drift towards, I don't wake up and go out of my way to go, I'm going to avoid this person today. But like in that little moment, like that 2-second moment, it's like a fight or flight moment of like, am I going to engage in this moment or not?
Yeah.
I definitely am defaulting to nope. Like run away, like a Monty Python run away. I want to avoid it. Do you do the same thing?
I do.
Yeah.
Or I want to, at least. Yeah. Oftentimes, if it's a work situation, you can't really run away.
Sure.
Usually you're having to respond. And so I guess the key there is to how do we respond?
Mm-hmm.
When we're dealing with somebody who's difficult, and knowing that there's a lot of, ways that people can be difficult. There can certainly be those that are the challengers, those who, are always right in their mind. And so their opinion matters and yours doesn't. That's one other example. And then, like you had mentioned, those who are just constantly negative. And then I mentioned, those who are complaining about somebody else. There's so many different variations of it. I don't think we can cover every single way that a person can be negative or a way that a person can be difficult.
Ooh, a social media feed blow upper kind of a person.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody who's just a little bit...
Even though we can't name all of them, like you just said, I'm clearly working on a list.
They're running on hot, right? They're ready to...
Yes. Like 45 comments. They're trolling. They're trolling a post. They're just bashing. And then probably we find them difficult. So then I guess in our emotion, we respond back in our comments. And then here we go off to the races and popcorn time for 1,000 comments.
Right.
Probably not loving it at the end of the day.
No. And so we lose sight.
Sure.
In those situations where. So what's our reaction to be?
So, I mean, I don't want to oversimplify it. So I'm thinking, have you ever, this is for me, have you ever either found someone difficult or didn't want to do a task or a meeting or a conversation with someone, and then you were done with it and you were like, oh, like that actually went better than I thought, or that was actually really good that situation happened like that? I feel like I get that experience a lot. Do you ever find yourself in a position like that? I'm going somewhere with this. I just want to see if...
Yeah, let's go where you're going. Because I can't think of a certain situation like that, even though it probably has happened. But
it's probably just
it's in Mike Mobley's world.
Yeah, thanks for being here with me. So, no, it's just made me think, and I don't have a whole bunch of experience with this yet. I think sometimes that's when the Lord is actually asking me to do something. Like, I can think of people in my life that could pop in my head right now. And my first instinct in my sin might be I don't want to engage with them. And then I sometimes, I don't know, think as I'm praying or reading the word or talking with other people, that I think sometimes the Lord's like, yep, and that's the person I want you to go engage with. Or same thing if it's like a task or a project and it's just, there's this, I don't know, avoidance tendency. I think more often than not, sometimes that might be the Lord tapping us on the shoulder.
I'm with you now on that.
Yeah.
Yes. Usually it's try to avoid it if it seems like it's going to be difficult, whether it be a person, whether it be a project. And then there have been many times where once you start engaging in it, you're like, that wasn't so bad, or that person wasn't so bad, or it didn't go as bad as I thought it would be. Maybe you knew you're going to be grouped up with somebody at an event and you're going to be sitting across from them and you just thought, oh, that time's going to be pretty challenging. But then, it goes better than you thought.
Yeah.
So sure, there have been those.
I mean, so I guess in a way of answering your question, like how do we respond? I mean, and one of my ways of thinking about it would be, to embrace the opportunity, even if it seems difficult. Like, that would just change my perspective. Instead of going, "Oh, how am I gonna make the best of this?" Like, I feel like if I'm already thinking that way, this is gonna be terrible. Or I can go, "Okay, clearly a little bit of a challenge. I'm feeling the sting in my head. Uh, God, what do you have for me in this moment? Like, what do you have for me in the next 5 minutes with this person or situation?" So, I guess embracing it and then just kinda going, do you think Jesus found people difficult?
I think he found many people difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he talked to a lot of those people as well, whether they were those who were closest to him or those that severely opposed him.
Yeah. I was gonna say, who do you think the difficult people were for him? Those crowds or
I think the Pharisees,
Mhm.
he calls them out pretty
Mhm.
heavily,
Mhm.
but he also had to, or he rebuked Peter. He,
Mhm.
was not too happy with James and John and what they had asked as far as, sitting at his right hand and, um, or at his right and left hand. And so, there were situations like that where the disciples where it was kind of, maybe they were annoying to him. But wondering just with that and knowing that Jesus, even if he had to go through that and had to deal
Mhm.
with difficult people
Mhm.
and gives us the model of how to do that, what makes us run from it? I still want to touch on that a bit. What makes us not want to engage? Maybe what do we fear losing in that situation?
I mean, for me, you gotta answer this for yourself. I probably man, there are times I feel like I say something so gut level honest on here. I need to look back on these episodes. I'm gonna sound terrible on this transparency factor, but you know what? We're gonna say it because
Yeah.
why not be real? I think I avoid it from my own comfort. I don't want to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with X person. That's just that's the lies I'm hearing. The sinful negative side of me is going like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to spend time doing this. Um, it's my comforts, I guess. My comforts, my control, my way. It has to be some variant of that for me. Um, it's funny enough, it's rarely about sometimes the person and their circumstance. It's more that I don't want to be put out in the process
Yeah.
of dealing with it. What about you?
I think that, and then also it doesn't necessarily have to be that the person is with us or that we're spending time with them, but even the thought of them
Mm.
can drum up some feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was a situation that has happened that just hasn't been reconciled. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
a situation that happened to where you're just there's still some strong emotions there, and so the thought of that person, you're taking your focus and you're putting it on them, and that the negativity there that you're feeling is just okay. I just don't want to either deal with them or deal with this thing that I'm feeling about them, and so therefore it's avoiding.
Okay. So you just avoid it because
Yeah.
I don't want to go there. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to drum all that
Right.
up, or I don't want to be vulnerable, or
I'd rather just
even
say
work.
no to going to the event versus having to see that person.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. Isn't that crazy how much Jesus moved towards everyone
Yeah.
and towards people, and how I guess it shouldn't be too ironic. Like our default is to pull away.
Yeah. And just throughout his ministry, how he went to tough places
Yeah.
and dealt with tough people, tough crowds,
Mm-hmm.
Carried along a group of tough people that were part of his inner circle and didn't shy away from it. So definitely our example there.
I mean, and we know there's different spots in scripture. Jesus calls us. I mean, he models for us, like he said, even the Pharisees or his disciples, he models this patience. He modeled a way that people can still be difficult, but there can still be a loving way to respond to them. And it doesn't even necessarily mean you're responding to their every need or complaint or anything like that either. Because it seems like sometimes people will come to Jesus and bring up a topic, and the way he would answer it, they're like, "You're not even talking about the topic I said." So he clearly modeled it and then teaches us different spots in the Bible and in Matthew 5, to love your, now we're not even talking about enemies. Okay. A straight up enemy, someone who's difficult at actually opposing you. If he's telling us to pray and love people who would oppose us, you would have to be able to, with context, take the same teaching and apply it to someone who's being difficult.
That really broadens it out, doesn't it? It's not just somebody who's in your circle or somebody you work with or even a family member. Um, when I think of family members too, and what David had to go through,
Mm.
within his own family, that
Mm-hmm.
first of all, he had Saul who had a problem with him that David didn't cause that on purpose, but
Yeah.
he had Saul wanting to kill him, and then David would face all sorts of challenges in his family, also people wanting to kill him.
Sure.
And so just knowing that there are those situations within your inner circle, but even those that you don't know well, that maybe online, that just disagree with you and demonize you, or say, okay, you're completely wrong.
Sure.
Certainly that's happening. It happens a lot today.
I mean, or they just disagree with you, and then we respond with demonizing them.
Yeah,
Just you let the emotions get the best of you, and it's like they just disagreed with you.
Yeah.
Or they just have a different viewpoint, or maybe they don't even share your viewpoint or your values, and maybe they're not a follower of Jesus, and they're not going to line up with Christian values, because why would they?
Why would they respond in a way that they don't know how to respond?
Yeah, they don't even know.
Don't know the value of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had no idea. I definitely I know I'm difficult today. I know I'm a difficult person, and I've been a difficult person before. I know before I was a believer, I mean, I'd be an instigator. So I wouldn't mind poking the bear with people, just I mean, it sounds bad, but just to drum up, I don't know, maybe even get them angry, so then I could feel good about myself and be like, see, look, they're angry, kind of a thing. So, I mean, some people are out there they're just playing with us, trying to do it. And it's we talk about this in our home for our kids, because they will sometimes be difficult to each other and argue. Who knew that siblings sometimes would fight and mess with each other?
That's news.
But they, one will get so easily offended, like Matthew could have called Peyton, poopy pants, something like that.
Ooh,
and Peyton's like, and then so mad, so angry. And we talk a lot about Proverbs 19:10. Pretty sure it's 19:10. It's good sense makes one slow to anger, and it's to his glory to overlook an offense.
Yeah.
And so how much more could we glorify the Lord by slow to anger, and then overlooking an offense? Is it really a personal offense? If there's a difficult person out there, like, is it really actually gut level a personal offense to us?
More than likely not. It just might be their reaction to the world in general. And you just happen to be in the way.
Yeah.
At that point, or happen to be the person.
Or you might be the person that God's like, I mean, you might be the roadblock intentionally,
maybe, to
confront them, and they may not even realize it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just interesting. Getting me think. And you mentioned about families. I mean, that's a whole audience right there, where I haven't met someone who doesn't have at least one difficult person in their family.
Yeah, certainly. There's
not yet. Never met that. So families, clearly, right now, anyone could be listening thinking, oh yeah.
Somebody comes to mind, right?
Uncle Jiminy Billy Bob is
right.
a beating.
And you probably are already thinking about November and about Thanksgiving and about people getting together and thinking,
not to give people anxiety right now.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. It's true though. It's gonna, opportunities are gonna come, right?
I think so. Yeah. There's always going to be, and obviously this isn't simple. It's complicated.
Sure.
It can take on many forms. It can take on many. If there could be a lot of people in your life that can be difficult, and maybe right now during this time, and it may be at different times, but obviously it's something that we're called to deal with.
Yeah.
Here, if Jesus had to deal with it, then we're to carry that burden as well, and seek his help in that. I know we're kind of cutting to the chase there and the solution, but it's not easy. It's not easy because I think we're easily distracted to seeing Jesus on a regular basis throughout the day when things like that are going on, and when we're mixing it up with people a lot of the time.
Well, I think also when we have time to think about it, like even talk about this right now, we're going to be calmer, and we can think about a difficult person. And I think we don't just have that quick jolt response. I mean, I don't know if this is true, but I feel like sometimes these scenarios bring about that fight or flight moment, which is, like we said, we're talking about it right now. It sounds simple, but in that moment of fight or flight, I feel like that's where it feels like it's intense and impossible. And you're like, I don't know what to do. And then we just don't handle it well. Where then even after that moment, you're kind of like, okay, maybe I need to like be more patient. So it almost makes me want to prep for the fight or flight moment. Stay proactive because that's coming. It's going to. I feel like it's going to happen. It's the nature of life. We're going to have those moments. Difficult people, fight or flight moment. Here it comes. How can I prepare in advance?
Right. I think we'd be foolish not to prepare for those situations, knowing what we know. First of all, I think we have to think about it.
Yeah.
And recognize, number one, this is going to happen. And maybe that doesn't happen enough. Maybe it's just, okay, this is just the way it's going to be. This is the way the day is going to shape up. I have no idea what's going to happen. Maybe we walk in and we're just really positive about the day and don't think that we're going to run across difficult people or don't think about it. But when it happens, it's just, they're just not a positive person.
Yep.
So I just don't think it's front of mind enough to have a plan. And that's where I think what you're saying is right. And what can we do to get out ahead of it so that we do respond well and that we don't make the problem of difficult people even worse and even be difficult ourselves.
Yep. So is this one of those episodes of Not Quite There where we're going to give practical ways?
Why not?
I think we have a 6-step plan.
I think people want tools.
We've never rolled out a step-by-step plan on any topic we've ever talked about.
We're doing that today.
So we're going to see how many people enjoy 6 practical ways to show love to difficult people. You should roll with step number 1.
That's where we're going today. So
let's do it. Practical ways.
One thing we can do is pray.
Wait a minute. Write these down. Get ready to write these down.
Yeah.
Or pull over the car.
Get your, maybe even, if you have your phone there, get ready to type it in there on your notes.
Ask AI to prepare for notes.
Yeah. Everybody ready?
Here we go. Step 1.
Pray for your own heart.
Boom.
So knowing that, in our own strength, though in our own heart that maybe isn't really following after God that day. If we're being selfish, if we're not aligned with God and His purpose for us, then certainly our own heart can have us respond negatively. So starting with praying for our own heart, praying that it would be soft, praying that it would be there the same as what God wants.
That's good because I think that'll also raise the barometer on, you said we don't necessarily walk through the day expecting it. Like we're like, oh, difficult person. How could that have happened?
Yeah.
But if you're praying in your own walk with the Lord and praying for your own heart, you're probably a little bit more conscious of just looking at human beings in general as people made in the image of God and they have value and purpose. So you're almost more ready, I think.
Yeah, and whether a certain person comes to mind or whether you're just praying in general that if you run across anybody that day, it certainly doesn't hurt to pray about that.
Sure.
So
step 1, pray for your own heart.
You like number 2, so go ahead.
Number 2. Let's number 2. Okay, so it's another prayer one because prayer, sidebar on prayer and the power of prayer, we don't do that enough. And I'm going to confess, I don't do that enough.
Yeah,
I'm saying get that out there so everyone can feel good. We're all in the same boat. We don't do it enough. And there's so much power and so much relationship to be developed with Jesus when we pray. And then relationships with each other when we pray for each other. Like it's so powerful. And if you even don't believe us, give it a week. Like step up your prayer game for a week and watch what happens. Like take stock of that.
Yeah. We have all the tools that we need, right? There's a prayer app that will send you prompts. It will send you, certain messages at certain times. You can set your own timer.
Sure.
There's always opportunity.
The resources aren't lacking. It's just we don't want to do it if we're going to be honest, or we just don't believe it's worth it. And so just take that as a sidebar challenge. I wasn't expecting that. But so step 1, pray for your own heart. Step 2, pray for the person. There is a huge difference when you think of Jiminy Billy Bob. That's the difficult person example. and you go, okay, you know what? Instead of complaining about that person or thinking negatively, I'm going to start praying for them. I'm going to start right now and start praying for them. I might even set a reminder on my phone to start praying for them every day or every week, or when I know I'm going to interact with Jiminy Billy Bob. And you would be amazed on how your heart opens up to that person, because now they've gone from a difficult person in your life to just a real human being with real struggles, good days, bad days. It will absolutely soften your heart towards them.
I think you've touched on something really important there, is that to be able to see that person as a real person
Yes.
that does have hurts, that does have challenges. We're only seeing a fraction of who they are usually if we don't know them really well. And, sometimes they can just be a caricature of something that you believe about them. And it's not that way,
And we would want people to think of us that way.
Right.
Imagine when you have a bad moment, even in front of a stranger, and you might just write it off and go, well, I'll never see him again. But they have a really incomplete view of who you are too.
Sure.
So we would all love to have a chance for someone to see beyond a 10-second version of ourselves.
Yeah, you're right. So pray for our own heart and then pray for that person. And then here's the key here. And this is,
is this step 3?
It's step 3.
Okay.
This is what Jesus did really well in modeling this for us, is he moved toward the person, not away. And so we see that in the people that also reached out to him for healing and for miracles. He didn't walk away from them. In fact, sometimes he even stopped what he was doing to make sure that he was attentive to them, even while he was trying to do something else or moving on to the next thing. So intentionally engaging with difficult people instead of avoiding them. That's the model there. And, there's opportunity there. We can find ways to connect, start a conversation with them. We can even, in the right circumstance there, if they're open to it and it's appropriate, then meet for coffee or send them a text that encourages them, that shows, that you recognize that they're a person too, and that they need encouragement.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to naturally move towards the difficult person.
That's the
without the prayer, honestly, without the praying for my own heart and then praying for the person. That's the only way I think I'll do it, because like what you're describing, it seems so opposite of what my natural default. I feel like I've never stopped and go, oh, wait, difficult, like Jiminy Billy Bob. Let me move in closer.
Yeah, especially if you've been at odds with somebody or have had an argument or, there were things said or hurtful things
no
between.
Way.
Right.
I want to move away. That's good. That's step 3. Okay, so we got pray for your own heart, pray for them, pray for the person. Move towards the person, not away. Number 4, this is going to be challenging. Find specific ways to bless and encourage the person, which means you're not just praying for them. You're taking the extra effort to listen very carefully to what they're saying, maybe even what they could be complaining about, what they're difficult about. And you're looking for the godly attributes or characters or traits or just anything you can come back to them with to show your appreciation for them. It could be a gift. It could just be telling them you're praying for them. But there's got to be a way and something you could do to speak life into them. So find specific ways, specific keyword, to bless and encourage someone.
Yeah, and it's not something natural to us to move towards somebody who's hurt us or said something that we don't agree with. And we certainly aren't geared toward, I want to give them a gift.
No. But you mentioned the power with that, though, right? Because they would receive something from you and be like, oh, like this?
Yeah.
This is a moment. That would be like light and darkness moment, I feel like.
But again, we're not here for things to be easy.
No.
We're here to do the will of God, and it's not always going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And so
it's a good word.
Being able to do that. So pray for your own heart, pray for them, move toward them, not away. Find specific ways to bless and encourage them. Number 5, give them grace. Just as God extends grace to us. That's what we're to do. We're to kind of approach them with humility, knowing that God is he's seen our own shortcomings and our own potential to be difficult people, and he still has reached out to us to give us a new life, to be able to walk in this salvation with him. And so therefore we've received a huge gift, being imperfect. And so we're to also treat those, whether they're believers or not.
Mm-hmm.
There's imperfection there.
Mm-hmm.
But we're to have actions and attitudes toward them that demonstrate grace, that demonstrate who God is, not who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes we get caught up in how we want to feel about it and what we can control and how we need to be able to manage the situation, maybe even manage the person. Maybe we're trying to control the person through that.
Wow, yeah.
But
that stinks a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was, they all sound hard when we say them. I think this one might be one of the hardest because we can forgive. Even if someone straight up hurt us, whether they're difficult or they're an enemy, if you think about everything Jesus has forgiven us for, doesn't mean you have to be best friends with someone, and it doesn't mean that the friendship or relationship, that it still can be difficult or like rocky and things like that. No one's saying that forgiveness equates like this fake happiness or buddy. It's not like that. It's in your own heart, not writing off another human being and thinking something like, well, I'm done with them.
Yeah.
Like case closed, concluded, they're dead to me kind of a thing. So the forgiveness factor can still happen in our own hearts and minds towards someone, which might be incredibly difficult. But that's when you can also extend your hands to the Lord and go, okay, Jesus, as you have forgiven me, I know I can turn towards this person and forgive them.
Exactly. And I think, Peter in Matthew 18:21-22 was trying to get to the root of that. How many times do I have to forgive, the one who has sinned against me? Come on. I want to know the number. I want to know when I could actually turn my back on them and just write them off and just be done with them.
Yep.
And what does Jesus say there?
I thought you were going to tell me.
Well, I mean, it's not rhetorical.
I mean, unlimited.
Right.
It's an unlimited, infinite number is what he
not
gives.
7 times 70, right? So,
Which is still, by the way, not a number to
not
say.
the exact number.
Right. It's not the number to go,
hopefully,
when I reach that moment, then they can be dead to me. It's
hopefully nobody's
they might be doing
that
the math
rotten
right now.
to you, and you're not being that rotten to somebody by that many times. But
they're writing it down going, okay, what is 7 times?
You can feel that
can
way,
I do
I'm
that?
sure. Yeah.
I mean, biblically, that number, it is an infinite amount, which praise God for that, because I still sin. And I don't know if that's on this side of heaven ever going to be fully finished in my life. Not as an excuse to sin, but I still sin.
Yeah.
So I need Jesus's grace and forgiveness an unlimited amount of times, please. Like, please and thank you and praise God for that.
Yeah.
And so surely I can look, and again, not making it easy, but I can look at another person made in the image of God and forgive them.
We're in the same boat there. I'm glad that Peter asked that question too, because that is it's quintessential of who we are as humans, right? We want an out.
We want an out. We want a loophole. We want an out for sure.
There are no loopholes.
Okay, final one. Drum roll. Number 1, pray for your own heart. Number 2, pray for them. Number 3, move toward them, not away. Number 4, find specific ways to bless and encourage them. Number 5, give them grace, just as God extends grace to you. And number 6, thought you were going to do a drum roll. Thanks for the non-drum roll. And symbol. It's a rocket. Realize that you too could be the difficult person in someone else's life. Ouchie.
Yeah, that one hurts a little bit.
This is a log in the eye perspective, my friends. Why don't you describe the log in the eye?
The log in the eye is
in your eye.
Being hypocritical. I would summarize it as that. It's saying, you've got the problem. Let's focus on you.
Yep.
And the whole time.
It is a humbling. It's a humbling. The 6th and final step here that's practical is also there's a lot of humility involved in this.
There should be, right?
I mean, have you ever asked people, like, if you're, have you ever done that? Have you ever asked like your friends, like,
I actually told a friend this week after, asking for some prayer and giving them some context about the situation that I was asking prayer. about, he wrote back to me and said, yeah, that's a lot to think about. And I let him know I'm difficult. You know this. So, but yeah, so having that awareness, I would say, is always better, that you can be difficult and that it's always around the corner, waiting for somebody.
Yeah. I do like the idea of kind of self-reflection, who we are in Jesus, and even wrapping it up there near the end on, let's just not forget, like, we still make mistakes, and the person in front of you is still going to make mistakes too. And so even if you forgive them and they're difficult the next time, that's okay. You can forgive them again, because we need forgiveness each and every day as well. That is the first time we've had a list of practical steps here on
let us know what you think about that.
6 practical steps to show love to difficult people.
You put these in action. Let us know if it's helpful, if you think about these steps along the way.
If you have a step to add, you want to make it 7.
Yeah.
Nice biblical number. Or if you think these steps are terrible, you would revise them. Send us a note. Leave us a message. Shoot us a voicemail. Share with us your experience.
Yeah, we'd like to hear. We'd like to hear more from you.
That's right.
So takeaways, Mike, if you had to summarize it or put it into a couple of
like the 6 practical ways that we just said.
Bullet points there.
The 6 steps we just
I'm
said.
talking about, you're in the elevator with your buddy and you said, you know what? I heard this the other day. I know you're dealing with a difficult person. This is what this episode was about. Here you go.
Oh, wow. Okay. You're putting me on the spot. Elevator. Ding.
Well, you are sitting up higher in the chair. So
thank you. Thank you. I would just talk about how, sometimes it's hard in life to deal with difficult people. And sometimes I need the reminder that, man, sometimes I'm difficult myself. And how can I really look at each person as a human being made in the image of God? So I can show grace and honor them well, even if they're having a difficult moment. How can I grow in my patience towards them in that?
That's exactly how I would say it.
And they're probably going to be like, well, I don't want to listen to that. So can I get off this elevator? This episode
Stop being
terrible.
So difficult, person.
Yeah,
Stop being difficult.
A jerk.
Complaining about everything.
No!
Thanks so much for joining us. Please consider rating and reviewing our podcast and hitting subscribe on whichever platform you prefer. Remember to keep moving forward, because we're not quite there.